Well, hi there, Death Dolls.
Hi.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's installment of Makeup and Murder, the YouTube channel where beauty and blood collide. I'm Nicky Elliott Nelson.
And I'm Mocha Pennington.
And I guess we're here doing this shit. If you guys are new to the channel, this is a YouTube true crime channel where we bring you every 2 weeks
bi-weekly.
You love throwing that in there. Like,
do.
don't look for us next week.
Okay.
Don't look for us next week.
We're not going to be here.
Week after next. But we each bring you a true crime story of our own. And also, before we kick that off, we give you some health, wellness, fitness tips, beauty tips. A lot of people like it. Hopefully you do too. So, this week's theme, the theme to this week's theme, a theme, meaning that we're both going to stick to it. This week, hopefully, is revenge. Mocha thought of it herself.
Yeah.
I love the idea going into it, so I was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, I'm all about it.
Love revenge.
So, you guys, my story ended up being so long that we're actually going to split it into 2 separate parts because we try to keep this within the hour. We noticed you guys liked it better when we kept it within the hour block of time. So that's what we're going to try to do. Unfortunately, to make that happen, we got to split mine in 2, which I don't mind. Do you mind?
I don't mind at all.
So you know what? Before we get this entire thing kicked off, let me bring you guys this week's health wellness tip. You know, I think being the, health and wellness go-to as far as this channel is concerned, it puts me in a really interesting position because sometimes, makeup's a little different, right? Because there's always a new product. There's always something new to try. There's a million things out there. With health and wellness, sometimes there's not always something new to try. Sometimes it's not like makeup where you can just put it on and then that's it. And then it's done. It's over with, right? Sometimes you got to try things out for a couple of weeks, see how things are going, So there's not going to be something new every week. But this week there is. So as you guys know, I'm still, rocking the Curology. I'm still using it. It's still working out great. I'm still using I've been talking a little bit to you guys about how I am using some other products in concert with Curology. And that I am liking the progress I'm seeing, but I don't know if we are at a final destination yet. So I'm going to give that final destination, not like the movie. Okay. I know this is Makeup and Murder, but
first thing that popped in my head.
I knew it was. I don't want to be on that kind of final destination. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we're there yet enough for me to say, you know what, this is fantastic and you absolutely need to add it to your regimen. So for right now, I will just say using Curology, still loving it. It by itself is fantastic. And I will keep you guys updated on if there's anything else to add to that. I would give it another 30 days just to see if we are where we need to be.
Hold it to him, y'all.
I'm going to.
Mark your calendar. This video came out a month from now. I'm like,
Thanks for that. Love ya. So yeah, still using the Curology. Still, you know what? Would love to see for our Death Dolls that the D-Manos for the urinary tract, sort of for our fussy urinary tract. How is it working for you guys? For me, it's still working fantastic. I still take it every day. I have not had a fussy urinary tract in life. It ain't been talking shit in a minute. So, which usually every now and again, every 3 or 4 weeks, but it's been chilling out, The vitamin D for, sort of, my days are a little bit sunnier. They're a little bit better. Has anybody tried that? Is it working out for you? Vitamin D.
Some people try it every morning, every night, honey. Sometimes in the afternoon.
I think we're talking about different forms of vitamin. Take it how you can get it.
Okay.
Take it absolutely how you can get it. But yeah. Anyway, you guys, most recently, I have been using a product called Lumen. I don't know if you guys can see. This is the box that it came in. Not much special about the packaging. This is definitely not, it's not makeup, so there's not going to be anything great about it, but it comes inside this Fantastic little box here.
Oh, that's cute. It's like a little shoebox.
It is like a little
For
shoebox.
children.
Right. Well, you know, for a toddler, right? You know. You guys, Lumen is touted as something that is going to help you hack your metabolism. I just started using it about 2 weeks ago, and I actually just received something called my Lumen Flex score, which is not gonna mean a whole hell of a lot to you right now. It comes in this box. The device, actually, you get this nice portable pouch, which is good because you end up having to carry it everywhere. This is the actual device, comes with a little mouth guard here. You guys, I've been using it for 2 weeks. I'm absolutely loving what I'm seeing so far. The reason I am not going to go too far into depth is, you know, the reason why I started down the journey of there's not always going to be something new to talk about every week, or sometimes you're going to be in between weeks. I have not seen enough of this, interacted with enough of this, played with this enough to know this is a $300 product.
Oh, my.
First, I would start with that. This bad boy cost $300. I got it on a holiday special. It was $270.
Oh, God.
Woohoo! The discounts just come flying in, don't they?
$30 off?
Right, it was $30 off. I haven't played with this enough to know if it's something I feel comfortable saying. You know what, y'all? You really have to spend the $300.
Well, for $300, honey, you motherfucker. I'll be calling them up.
So, here's the thing. I can say that of what I've seen, I really, really like it. I am enjoying it. It's something that I felt comfortable spending the money on. I would need to see more results to know if I feel comfortable telling you guys to use it. If we get to that place, it might get its own full video because using it is more than what I could do justice in. I could explain about this much of how this thing works in the time we get on Makeup and Murder, and I don't want to bore you with that. So, without further ado, who's ready for the story?
I am.
All right, guys and dolls, it is time for the story. It is time for the story of Miriam Rodriguez. So, you guys, going into this story, I actually remembered like a little detail. One time, I'm having lunch with my Mexican-American friend, and I only point that out because within the context of this story, she was completely right. But at the time, I was like, whatever, right? So we're having lunch, and I tell her I have this idea in my head, because sometimes I get these ideas, that I want to live in a border town. Like somewhere on the border of like Texas, maybe California. At the time, I wanted to live in a border town, like on the border of California, because my idea was that I would be able to like just walk across the street and be in Mexico, and then walk across the street and be, you know,
this was last week, by the way.
That's what I thought at the time. So, like, I mentioned the idea, and of course, at the time, I thought it was a stroke of fucking brilliance. I was like, this is brilliant.
Why is no one
do this? Why is no one supporting this? Where's the funding for this? Well, she immediately says, Nicky, you don't want to live in a border town. And I was just like, well, why don't I want to live in a border town? And so she explains to me, she's like, well, first of all, crime. She's like, crime, violence, the drug cartel. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. I mean, that's fine.
Wednesday.
But, you know, I really didn't believe her because I was like, you know, sometimes people, don't let this mood taste fool you. Nikki's from the hood, right? Sometimes people get confused and I'm just like, I understand crime. Like,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Well, for this week's story, I learned that I don't want to live in a border town. This week's story is going to take us to the city of Tamaulipas. It's apparently, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I hope that I am. If I'm not, could someone give me like the little phonics things in the comment section below?
I love those.
Yeah, just so I could like pronounce it. A little late now because I'm going to pronounce it wrong the entire episode.
For future.
For future reference, so I know. Okay. So, when you Google Tamaulipas, Mexico, the first results that you get in Google say, do not travel due to crime and kidnapping.
Oh, my.
Organized crime, including gun battles, murder, armed robbery, carjacking, kidnapping, forced disappearances, which, for the record, I would love to know what like a forced disappearance is.
Yeah,
it's a forced disappearance. You're not in the union anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Extortion and sexual assault are common. So it sounds like a nice vacation spot.
I want to go there.
No,
Let's vacation there.
You know what? Let's just pack.
I know we're going for next Halloween.
And these are the results. I mean, so here's the thing. Those results were placed there by the Mexican government. Mm-hmm. Also, the State Department has some results that sort of mirror what is being said here. So they're not fucking around here, people. Like, this is not a joke.
Don't live there.
Don't go there. So Miriam Rodriguez, guys, she lived in Tamaulipas with her family. And so that was like her husband and her 3 kids, Azalea, Karen, and Louis. First off, before I jump too deep into this story, I want to give a big shout out, thank you to Karen Kilgariff of My Favorite Murder, because I knew that I wanted to do this story the minute that you mentioned revenge. Like, I was researching, I found this story, I was like, oh, this story is dope as shit. Do you know that there is like very little information out there about this story?
Yeah.
I'm researching my ass off. The Wikipedia page is like this long. It's got nothing. Murderpedia, not much better, as far as like context or backstory. And then out of nowhere one day, just like as a consequence of fate, I'm listening to my podcast, Let's Not Meet, My Favorite Murder. And of course, My Favorite Murder has covered it before. Of course. So the lion's share of the research was provided by Karen. Thank you so much, boo, because without you, don't know what I would have done.
She personally helped them.
She's my friend. First off, we are very good friends. She spends hours a week with me.
Well.
Now, if that's not a friend, what is it?
Okay.
So you guys, Miriam Rodriguez and her family lived in Tamaulipas. Husband and 3 kids. Once again, that's Azalea, Karen, and Louise. Now, as is sort of the story, really hard workers. Mm-hmm. Nothing different with Miriam. They actually owned a family store. It was like a boot store, I want to say.
Okay.
So they owned a boot store. And Miriam also nannied for a family in Texas. Because apparently Tamaulipas isn't too terribly far from Texas. I mean, border town, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the point. You see? So I'm not the only one who had this idea. Someone else thought it was a good idea at one point, too. I wasn't the only sucker getting taken for, okay?
Yeah.
So, now apparently you guys in Tamaulipas, drugs are trafficked heavily. Because apparently there's like 2 main highways that will get you like in and out, to and from. And Tamaulipas sits right smack dab on one of them or near one of them. So it's just like easy access for the cartel. And Tamaulipas also, you guys had the misfortune of having some government officials reach out to the cartel to try to help them stay in political power.
Oh my.
Does that sound like a great idea to you?
I mean, maybe. Okay,
so let me tell you why it's not. Because the cartel spread like a cancer throughout the official Mexican government that's there, And now they're so ingrained. I mean, the cartel, they don't actually like play by fair rules, right? So you open the door and all of a sudden they just start taking shit. Like
I see nothing wrong with it.
All of a sudden they have like public works contracts that are like legitimized through the Mexican government. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like a great idea in theory, right? You need a little extra muscle. The cartel are probably not the people you want to call to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the way that it's described, the way that I'm hearing it, is that there started to be a little... First of all, the cartel's got a great thing going on in Tamaulipas. Because, they're just in Tamaulipas. Mm-hmm. Because they're, like, sort of legitimized, right?
They just take what they want.
Yeah, they're just kind of taking what they want. Well, the way it gets described is there starts to be, like, this infighting between the cartel. And there's a group called the Zetas, and they are, it's like a fraternity.
A sorority.
Lambda, Beta, Zeta. No one fucks with us. So
they start stepping.
Right? So it's one of the factions of the cartel, and they actually split off from the cartel as tensions begin to rise, right? So by 2010, the government wants to start a war against drugs, which is just like,
about damn time.
well, too little, too late.
Well,
you open the front door and now you want to start a war?
Okay.
Like, that doesn't sound like a fantastic idea. At this point, the cartel is literally leached throughout the legitimized Mexican government. Like, what are you going to do, you know? So in listening to how Karen explains it, a former presidential candidate was quoted as saying, there are two governments in Tamaulipas. I keep saying Tamaulipas. It's Tamaulipas, I believe, right? Two governments in Tamaulipas. A government from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and another government from 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. The first was elected, and the second imposes itself through kidnapping, extortion, disappearances, and death. Sounds like a lovely place to be.
Sounds like my family reunion.
You know, another family reunion.
Yeah.
Success. Success. So, guys, on January 23rd, 2014, Karen, remember, Miriam has 3 children.
I thought he was about to list off the names. So it was Azalea, Lewis, and Karen, but you didn't. I just said Azalea.
Oh, no, I'm going to. But at this point, all of Miriam's kids have grown up and left the house, right? So Lewis has moved on. He's doing his own thing. Azalea's moved on. She's doing her own thing. Karen is the only one who actually still lives at the house, right? So January 23rd, 2014, Karen's on her way home from the family store. She works at the family store, and she goes to school. So, you know, she's helping out, right?
Hard-working woman.
Hard-working woman, Karen is. Well, as she's going home, as she's driving home, and it's important to note that she's driving home, you guys, in the store van, right? So the store that her family owns, she's driving home in their van. She's at an intersection, and you guys, two trucks pull up on either side of her. She's at a red light.
I thought crying.
Yeah, you already know what's gonna happen, right? Armed men jump out of the trucks. They force their way into Karen's van, and then they, you know, pretty much, long story short, they kidnap her, and they end up taking her back to her family home. So apparently they cart her off to her home, which lets me know kind of that this isn't coincidental.
Yeah, they've been tracking her for a minute.
They have to, because if they already know to kidnap you by way of this store van, and then they know that the store van, you know, is linked to you and your home, they've been tracking you for a minute. They've been watching you. No one's there, of course, when they get home, because dad is working. All the other siblings, of course, they're living their own lives now. They're doing their own thing. And mom is, you know, nannying at her second job all the way up in Texas, right? So Karen is taken into the house. She's bound and gagged. At which point the effort is briefly interrupted by a knock at the door. The knock at the door turns out to be the family mechanic, who had actually turned up to do some work on the work vehicle, right?
Goodness.
So they don't know what to do. This was not a part of the plan, right? The kidnappers. So they just decided to kidnap him too, right?
Like, come on with us.
After a while, though, because he wasn't a part of the original plan, and I believe he was, you know, not only the family mechanic, but I believe he was the uncle as well, they just let him go. Like, all right, well, I mean, we didn't bargain for 2. So they let him go. So Miriam gets home from her nannying gig, and her daughter isn't there. So the family mechanic shows up not too long after Miriam gets home, and he's just like, So Karen is gone. She was kidnapped, and Miriam finds out all of the details, right? Tells her the entire story. Well, not too long after the uncle tells the story of what's happening, the ransom phone calls start coming in. Now, The next part is truly heartbreaking. Miriam and her husband already assume that this is the work of the cartel.
Yeah.
And in specific, they think it's the work of the Zetas because the Zetas are the faction that are sort of in that's their little area, right? And so they take out a loan to cover the ransom that the Zetas ask for. Now, apparently these occurrences are so common that there is a bank in town that is dedicated to offering lines of credit for covering ransoms.
Oh God.
So
I wonder how the admin time for that sounds like the commercials.
What do the ads sound like?
Yeah.
It can be good.
Yeah.
So that just lets me know, like, this is a pretty deep ingrained problem.
Yeah.
If there's a bank that's committed to financing your ransom issues. So throughout the course of this entire thing, the family makes several drops and Karen never gets released. The Zetas, who they assume it is, are making demands. They're meeting every demand that the Zetas have asked for. And Karen never gets returned to them. Every time they ask for money, the family ponies up, nothing. So Miriam gets pissed.
As she should.
As she should. And she contacts the Zetas herself.
She's like, you know what?
Yeah,
she opens up the elevator. Zetas.
There those bastards are. I'm going to give them a piece of my minds, right? She contacts them herself and she asks for a meeting. Surprisingly, the Zetas agree.
Oh.
They agree to it. So they meet up at a diner in town. And she says that the guy who meets her is a skinny, lanky, clean-shaven guy. And she begs him, you guys, she begs him to return Karen. Now, this guy is a criminal. So he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about here. But I'll help you out. I will help find Karen for a small fee.
Oh God, I'd be so annoyed.
For a small fee of $2,000. At this point, Miriam has the patience of a saint. Because, I would just, there has to be a butter knife somewhere in front of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
I'm going to take you out myself. Actually, it's so funny because you say these things that you would do, but, really, would you? Probably not.
Well.
I'd probably, do exactly what Miriam did. And you know what she did?
She gave him that goddamn $2,000.
Miriam agrees.
That's why I don't want no damn kid.
Some people say they're the loves of your life. I just see them as leverage. You know what I'm saying? She gives him the $2,000. He is wearing a walkie-talkie. As having this meeting, he's wearing a walkie-talkie. He never gives her his name. She finds out, though, at the end of this meeting, that his name is Sama, because someone on the walkie-talkie addresses him by his name. So now, she's got a name.
Oh, okay, gotcha, bitch.
Right? A week after the meeting, Sama stops answering all of her phone calls. And she, on top of that, is still getting ransom calls from who she believes to be the Zetas, right? The family still cooperates with everything that the Zetas are asking for. They make every single drop. They pay every single fine. Karen never gets returned. So, at this point, Miriam pays the family mechanic and uncle a visit. Right? And she's just she starts describing Sama to him, Sama or Sama. And she's basically do you know this guy? Did you see him? Was he one of the guys who kidnapped you? She, describes him. He was like, oh yeah, he was there. Which, first of all, Miriam is brilliant. I wish she would have been able to have that conversation with the family mechanic before agreeing to pay that money.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things that you can only do in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
You can't, until she agreed to have that meeting with him, she didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah.
And it's not like when he asked her for the $2,000, she would have been like, hold on, let me check your references.
Okay.
Let me just check and see if I actually want to pony up this money to you. Like, that's not something that she could actually do, right? So that kind of sucks, but hindsight is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, Miriam says to herself, she like lets her family know, I don't think she's coming back, you guys. Like, I think she's gone. I think she's done. And it was at that point that she sort of vowed to solemnly seek vengeance against everyone who was involved in this entire situation.
She's about to kill Bill.
Right? She's like, at this point, it's time to kill Bill. So, using Facebook, she spends hours trying to find a better connection to Sama. She actually happens upon a picture of him while he's standing next to some young lady who has on a uniform for an ice cream shop. The ice cream shop happens to be a couple of hours away in the same town that her son Louis lives in. So, she immediately spends weeks staking out this ice cream shop.
Oh my.
On her own. On her own, right? One day, while she is staking out this ice cream shop, guess who shows up?
That damn Sama.
Sama shows up to the ice cream shop to pick up the young lady from the photograph after her shift ends, right? So
she must not work too often. She's out there for like weeks and then finally...
Weeks. Well, here's the thing. You know how it goes when you're kicking it with somebody. Like, they kick it, but they're probably not together. So they don't see each other every day, you know.
Well.
So it's probably not every day that Sama picks her up, right? So one day, Sama shows up to pick up the young woman, and she discreetly follows them home. And she takes down their address. You know what Miriam starts doing? She dyes her hair dark red and cuts it. She dyes her hair dark red, cuts it off. She uses one of her old uniforms for a job that she had. It was pretty official, right? Mm-hmm. She starts going door to door to Salma's neighbors, asking questions, posing to be there for an alternate purpose, right? Mm-hmm. But asking questions so she could get as much information about him as humanly possible.
Good.
Right? Like, seriously, a mother's love. A mother's love. Like, she's literally doing this investigation on her own.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? And she's just like, this bastard has fucked with the wrong lady.
And he sure did, honey.
So, after finding out all of the information that she could, she finally ends up linking with the police. Now, at this point in the story, I start to get a little worried because I'm just like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, well, I mean, you've already had government officials try to use the cartel as muscle so they can stay in political power.
Yeah, they're like working with them. They're giving them money. They're giving the cartel jobs, honey.
How legitimate are the
I wouldn't
police?
trust the police.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know,
Cartels are your
guys.
payroll.
Right? I'm not sure. Well, the police want really no part of it.
So, girl, you on your own, honey.
Most of the police officers that she talked to, they're like, no, sweetie.
They're jerks.
Right? They're like, absolutely not. They're scared, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of one officer. One officer actually agrees, y'all, to help her out. Now, she turns over the files that she had, because all of this research that she's been doing, she's been keeping a file on it, right?
She should.
She turns over to her files to this officer who said that Miriam's work was some of the most detailed and impressive work he had ever seen before. Like, you know, she's one woman.
Yeah, doing this all by her damn self.
Gathering up all of this information. He said it was the most impressive work that he had ever seen. So impressive that her findings actually helped them secure an arrest warrant against Sama.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, ahead, girl.
Unfortunately, when they went to go serve that arrest warrant, they found that Sama had skipped town.
Oh, I fucking hate Sama.
And you guys, that is it for the first part of this story.
Oh, that was good.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't it insane? You guys, you're never gonna guess where this story goes. And
like, well, we're about to Google it.
No, you guys have to wait for 2
Yes,
weeks. Wait. That is never gonna work in this right now culture. Yeah. But hopefully you guys wait for 2 weeks so you can find out.
I like surprises.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be like yelling at the laptop right now if I was watching it, but
you really?
I would still wait. But
yeah.
Well, I like a good surprise.
Right.
Well.
So, you guys, there's more to come with that story. And before we move on to Mocha's story, let's take a quick little break, shall we? Hey, Death Dolls. Hope you guys are enjoying Makeup and Murder. If so, check us out on Tea Time, a YouTube channel where we talk about YouTube drama in all of its dirty little essence. Link in the description box. Okay, guys, back to the show. Dolls, so glad you're back joining us after that well-deserved break. Mocha Bell from hell. What do you have for us today?
Well, before I jump into my story, I want to talk to you guys about the face base. Because I really wasn't too impressed with this eyeshadow palette that I got in my Boxy Charm. It's like $30. I mean, it's cute, but it's like, it's not really pigmented. Like, you literally have to like keep blending. Like, I want to recommend it, so I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna put that in. I already talked about this lip color. Laura Lee, Los Angeles.
Yeah, wait a minute. Don't tell me because I always forget. No. Okay, tell me.
Jaybird.
Jaybird. Why do I always forget that?
Like, I'm probably gonna be wearing this. So I was like, well, let me talk, because I like discovered some really fun face products that I love, and like it works for me, and I'm like so excited about them.
Yeah.
So my skin is dry, like dry as hell. Like every now and again it'll be like normal, but it's pretty dry.
Yeah.
So for my foundation, I like mixing the Fenty Beauty. What is it? The Hydrating Longwear Foundation.
The Pro Filter.
The Pro Filter. I am shade, because some people like to know, I am shade 310.
Okay.
I mix it with Morphe. Yes, honey, the full coverage foundation. You know, add a little bit of coverage, but this is like extremely matte. Like, whenever I put it on, like, I literally, by itself, I have to, like, moisturize my face.
So you mix them so you don't, like, dry out.
Yeah.
Are they the same shade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I was, like, surprised. I was like,
how similar they
are.
are.
They're, like, pretty much, like, a perfect match for each other.
Okay.
So I put them on a velour sponge, pat that in my face, you know, blend it. And then for concealer, I use the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. They have another one.
Okay, we see you.
It's more like a matte. This one's the hydrating one, because, you know, dry skin. I do light sand for the shade.
Okay, e.l.f., we see you trying to be relatable.
It's like full covers, too. Like, honey, you don't need to, like, fucking do all those triangles like some people do. Put, like, a dot, 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 and then, like, you blend it all out.
Really?
Cheese on. Yeah, honey.
Okay.
And then I set it with the Patrick, or the One Size setting spray. I love this. I already talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I love this powder, y'all. And then, you know, I set everything, and then just to add like a little bit of color and a little bit extra coverage, because, you know, I'm full coverage, honey. I'm sorry. I use the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Powder Foundation.
Yeah.
It's 310 as well.
Okay.
I love it. I love this, honey. And it's not really like, people's like, oh my God, it's so full cover. It's like, not really. It just puts a little bit more color into it.
Okay.
And then after I do like my bronzer and contour and blush and all that, I put a little bit of the Jacqueline Cosmetics, the Luminous powder, just sprinkled it all in there, honey.
So, you know, just a light beat. Okay. Not too much work.
Okay, just to add like
no muss, no fuss, 5-minute makeup tips,
exactly.
You know.
That's all that is. You know, just sprinkle this all over, and then like you set it, obviously. Like you can like pick and choose like what do you want to do with it. Like this is all this works for me now. It may not work for some people.
Yeah.
So some people's like, oh, I'll do the foundation, or I can do the foundation powder. You know what I'm saying? Like it works for me, and I love it.
Okay.
So y'all should get on it.
Well, you look fantastic as always.
Honey,
do you have a book recommendation for us this week?
I do, honey. This is the first book I read of 2021.
Okay, let's see it.
Ritualistic Human Sacrifice.
So just light reading, something to read right before bed.
By C.V. Hunt.
Okay, so what is this about?
I know.
Is it about ritualistic human sacrifice?
It's about...
It's not a how-to book, is it?
No, I would hope not.
Because I'm gonna start locking my door at night.
It's not like too long. It's like 200 and some odd pages.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pretty short.
It's fiction, right?
Yeah. Someone asked me that too.
Just checking.
On Twitter.
Really?
I think it was Mel. She was like, is that fiction? And I was like, yeah, girl, I'll be scared as hell if it was nonfiction.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd be scared too. I'd be scared too.
A husband and wife. Mm-hmm. The husband's like a jerk. A complete jerk.
Yeah.
He's about to leave her. He's about to ask for a divorce, and he's about to leave her.
Okay.
Then she's like, well, I'm pregnant. And he's like, well, damn, I look like a bigger dick than I already am if I just leave her when she's pregnant. Uh-huh. So he's spiteful as hell. So he's like, okay, you pregnant, and you made that decision without me, so I'm about to make a decision without you. So he moves him to the middle of nowhere. Middle of absolute nowhere. In this nice house, though. He made it like his dream house. And then she goes to the doctor's office. Because, she's pregnant. She has to go to the doctor. And whenever she comes back from the doctor's office, honey, she's a totally different person.
Okay. And
he's like, oh, hell. And then he's terrified. So I'm gonna say, honey.
Okay, this sounds like actually a good read.
Yeah, check it out, y'all. It's only like 200 odd pages.
Okay.
Check it out.
What size is the font?
It's actually
3-point font.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So check out all of my all the stuff that I just brought you. Check it out.
The makings of Mocha. All right, are we ready to get into your story?
We are.
Let's do it.
So are you ready to hear about Katherine Knight, honey?
Ready as I'll ever be.
I like giving them like little subtitles. Like I couldn't find one that was like a suitable, like I was gonna call her like Katherine Knight, the Aussie trash.
Is it like Oxygen is just like, remember when they used to do like the Snap stories? It'd be like the killer in the Black Lagoon or the woman without a story.
I was like, oh, honey, she's just trash and she's from Australia.
Perfect.
Katherine Knight, the trash from Australia. Okay.
The girl next door.
Now, before Katherine Knight was born, her mother, Barbara, had been married to Jack and had four boys. Okay. She began having an affair with her husband's friend and co-worker, Ken Knight. The small conservative town of Aberdeen shunned Barbara and Ken because it was like, oh no, honey, this goes against our fucking Christian beliefs. Get out.
What? Like, what was wrong with them that it went against their Christian beliefs?
She was cheating on her husband with Ken Knight.
Oh. Well, I guess that's not the Christian thing to do, is it?
So they were forced to leave. They moved to Moore.
Okay.
I don't know where any of these places are.
Someplace in Australia.
Yeah, I think it's another small town.
Got it.
Her four sons did not move with Barbara and Ken. The two younger ones stayed with their father, and then another one went to her aunt, Cindy. Okay. Yeah, so she was like, honey, I'm not taking the kids with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Katherine Knight had a twin sister when she was born on October 24th, 1955. Okay. Ken was described as an abusive alcoholic. Her father was an abusive alcoholic who often brutalized and raped his wife. Barbara confided to her young daughters about all this happening. They were like young. She was like, yeah, he did such and such to me. Like she would like put it in like graphic detail. Like,
isn't like your job to protect your kids from that?
Just tells them all.
Okay. Seek therapy.
I mean, she definitely needs it.
Like these are not things that you tell your children.
Just like, oh, I hate men and I hate sex.
to her children.
Yeah, to her young children.
These are things that you tell a certified mental health clinician.
Oh, yeah, at least you're friends.
Right? Well, does she have any?
I don't think so. Well, to the age of 11, Katherine said that she had endured sexual assaults by multiple family members. Her father, however, was like not one of them.
Okay.
But I later found out it was like the stepbrothers. That was, or not the stepbrothers, but her half-brothers who were molesting her. As a child and teen, Katherine was a loner who was rewarded when she displayed good behavior, which wasn't always.
Okay.
Former classmates say that she bullied younger kids and was often in fights. She assaulted one student with a weapon, and Katherine was once beat the hell out of by her own teacher, who claimed she was acting in self-defense. Which I believe it. Like, after I was like, well, that's odd.
For the teacher to just be
like,
like, you gonna get it today.
Teacher done beat the hell out of
Teacher said, you know what? It's time for me to open up a can.
She was acting in self-defense, and I was like, well, that's odd. And so I was like, finding out more. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Katherine left school at 15 and found employment despite not being able to read and write. She first began working at a clothing...
Hold on. She was 15 and she couldn't read or write?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, she couldn't...
No judgment.
I mean, she could, like...
String sentences together?
Like, she can, like, read and write. Like,
she could get by.
She wasn't good at all.
Okay.
She wasn't good at all.
Okay, she could get by.
Yeah, well, barely.
Okay.
Scraping.
So she wasn't exactly student of the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
She first began working at a clothing factory, and then she began what she considered her dream job, which was cutting up offal at a slaughterhouse.
What is offal?
It's like fat and like the meat, the parts that are like the fat and the meat that people don't want.
Okay, so I'm concerned.
I mean, that was her dream job.
I'm concerned.
Well,
because that is no one's dream.
Yeah, she was like, you promise?
That is no one's fucking dream. And the fact that it's hers, I'm worried.
Well, she was so good at cutting up offal, she found herself promoted to boning.
Oh.
Which was like...
her second dream
I
job.
can imagine this is like taking out the bones from like the animals.
Okay.
Yeah. To go along with her new job title, she was given her very own set of butcher's knives. She was so proud of the knife set. Everywhere she lived, she hung them over her bed. Would always be in handy if you needed. That was like her reasoning. Like, there's gonna be in handy just in case.
Just in case you need to bone a stray cat.
Well, she wasn't the best interior designer.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Cool.
So Katherine met David Kellitz in 1973. He was good friends with Katherine's brother. After witnessing his best friend being killed in front of him and helped remove bodies from a school bus after being hit by a train, he developed a drinking problem, which, you can kind of understand that.
Trauma sometimes does that to people, right?
Well, shortly after meeting, Katherine and David began dating. David was a violent drunk and would often get into fights at bars.
So they just sound like an equally yoked couple.
Well,
this is going to end great.
Never Katherine was like there at the bars with them. She would help. She would match him fist to fist, they say.
So she's a down-ass bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's his ride or die.
So, like,
Bonnie and Clyde.
They obviously got married a year later.
Duh.
Well, yeah.
You can only come across true love like this once in a lifetime.
Once in a while, of course.
Yeah.
They showed up on their wedding on a motorcycle, very drunk. And before being married, Katherine's mother pulled David aside, honey, because she had some things to say to him.
Mm-hmm.
This is quoting. She's like, you better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think about cheating on her. She'll fucking kill you. She got a screw loose somewhere. That's what her mother said to David right before they got married.
And he still said yes.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't wrong. On the night of their wedding, Katherine attempted to strangle David. Her reasoning was that he fell asleep after only having sex with her 3 times. So she was like, she wanted more. So she was like, well, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. Their marriage was very violent. Once David returned home late from playing darts to find his clothing burning, honey. And then she beat him over the head with the frying pan. He was treated at a hospital for a fractured skull, and she managed to talk him back into, like, to dropping the charges. She was like, honey, drop the charges, please. And I was like, all right, fine.
I might have had to let them charges ride. Like, you know what? I mean, I might not leave you, but you're going to go to county for a little bit for this one. Like, you're going to do some time because I need you to, I'll forgive you, but, you know, forgiveness without, you know, accountability, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So you're going to do some time with your 3 hots and a cot, and then, you know, we'll talk about if you're still sorry, you know, after.
Honey. Well, shortly after giving birth to their first child, Melissa, David left Katherine to be with another woman. Oh, honey. The next day, Katherine was admitted into a psychiatric hospital and was diagnosed with postpartum depression after she was seen pushing her baby stroller down the road, and she was like shaking it back and forth.
Like violently?
Yeah, violently, honey.
Okay.
Yeah. She was released, like right after she was released, like she left her baby on a train track and went around town with an axe threatening to kill people. And luckily, like someone like saw the baby in the town and was like, got the baby, like, oh no, because the train was coming. It was like a few minutes before, like,
train time.
Yeah, he saw the baby and he like snatched her up, like, oh my God, I know, she's crazy, honey.
I don't like her.
Not many people did.
She's a bitch.
She was placed back into the psychiatric care, but like signed herself out like the following day.
They let you sign yourself out in situations like this?
Like that was like I read that and I was like, well, that's odd. She left her baby on a train track and she was running around with the axe trying to kill people.
Isn't that a crime?
Yeah.
That you would typically do time for?
Yes.
She's white, ain't she?
Well, in Australia. Well, only a few days later, Katherine snatched up a woman, cut her face with one of her beloved butcher's knives, and she told her to drive her to David, who lived with his girlfriend in Queensland. The woman fled after they stopped at a service station.
Yeah.
She said, "Oh hell, honey!" But
yeah,
Katherine wasn't
I'm
finished. She wasn't finished then. She snatched up a boy and held him hostage when the police showed up. And the police beat her with brooms and was able to like disarm her. I don't know like what are brooms over in Australia.
Because a broom here is
I don't know
that,
if it was like literally like a broom.
Maybe it was like a nightstick.
I don't know, but they beat her with broom. My mind.
It has to be like one of those like.
My mind's a broomstick.
So where did they find just like a surplus of brooms hanging around that they could just be like, you know what, this is my weapon of choice.
It has to be something else over there. So
Australia. What do you beat people with?
Is it brooms?
Is it brooms?
Like I didn't want to look it up because I honestly wanted you guys to tell me if you guys know.
Yeah.
So she was disarmed, and then she was once again put under that psychiatric care, where she confessed she planned on killing the mechanic who worked at the service station that she was at because he fixed David's car. Because David used that fixed car to leave her to go to the girlfriend.
She is insane.
And then she was about to go to the David and his girlfriends. She was about to kill them.
So what did she do with the mechanic?
Well, she didn't kill him. She didn't kill anyone.
Okay.
But I guess like David like thought like, oh my God, like this is romantic.
Okay.
He was like, oh my God, like, this is like her true devotion of love because he done left his girlfriend and went back to where they were from. He was like, well, I'm gonna stay with my mom for a little bit while you're like doing your psychiatric care. I'm gonna stay with her, but once we're out, honey, we're gonna be together.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's your funeral, David.
When she was released in August of 1976, David, and David's mother moved to the suburbs. 4 years later, she gave birth to a second child named Natasha. In 1984, Katherine left David. She said, I'm done.
So, like, after all that, she was like, yeah.
Yeah, she was like, you know what?
On second thought.
I'm done.
I'm not as into it as I thought I was.
Yeah.
You know? You were a kindred flame. You burned out.
In 1986, Katherine met another David
Saunders,
that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. Y'all know names are like, they're not my forte. Saunders. a 38-year-old minor who moved in with Katherine and her daughters after the two been dating for a few months. Yeah, he kept his old apartments. So he kind of sensed something. He was like, I'll move in with... Sorry, y'all, my eyes aren't really the best. So I'm like trying to read it. But yeah, he was like, I'm going to keep my apartment, though. I'll move in with you.
But I'm going to keep my own stuff.
Yeah.
Smart.
So soon after she and David began living together, she was like, I don't know what you're doing whenever I'm not around. So I don't know. And she didn't like it. She didn't like it, honey.
You're not supposed to know what he's doing when she's not around.
She didn't like it.
You crazy woman. Oh my God.
So she would kick him out often. And then just to like drive down to his apartment that he kept. He's like, please come back. I'm sorry. And he did. He did, honey.
She must be really good at some things because...
She has to be something, honey.
These men just always come back, don't they?
I mean, yeah, they do. Sorry.
It's probably because they're stupid.
I mean, they're men, right?
Right? They're dumb.
So, like, once to, like, demonstrate, like, what would happen if she caught him cheating? She grabbed his 2-month-old puppy and cut his throat. And then beat him in the head with a frying pan. Yeah. Until he's unconscious.
She killed his dog?
Yeah, she was like, this is gonna happen.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah, honey.
We're done.
Like, bye,
you got one time to put your hands on my kids or my animals, and you don't have to worry about it. Because I'm going to beat your ass myself. No way.
She's something else.
No way.
Yeah. And she gave birth to her third child, Sarah. And
By him. He went on to have a kid with this woman.
He sure did.
After he killed her puppy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're both crazy as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
At this point.
The couple... Well, no, she got pregnant. It's like, well, we have to, get a house, obviously. We have to buy a house. And she, like, elegantly decorated the house. Because, she's like a fabulous, like, interior designer.
We're talking about the same woman who hung her knives above her bed?
Yeah. I mean, they're still there, by the way. Every place that she lived, those knives were above the bed.
Oh, okay.
And she, like, decorated the house in animal skin, skulls, horns, animal traps, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, and pitchforks. So this is, like, all over the house. Not, like, a single space was, like, didn't have something on. Even the ceiling.
I hate it here. I want to leave.
So she's a wonderful designer. Like, I want her to come and design for us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sure thing. I'm stressed. She stresses me out.
Well, David took a leave of absence from his job and went into hiding.
Fucking run away?
Yeah, he went into hiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. After spending 3 days in the hospital after she stabbed him, he was like, okay, y'all. He caught his job and was like, I'm gonna,
I need to get low for a minute.
I need a holiday, they say over there.
Yeah.
I need a holiday. And he went into hiding. She stabbed him with a pair of scissors. And she went around looking for him to his family and friends. And they were like, oh, we don't know where he is. But they knew. They knew where he was. And like a few months later, he was like, I do want to see my daughter, though. So,
I mean, do you?
So he went back to see his daughter, and she was like, oh no. So she like called the police, and she was like, I'm so terrified of him.
You're scared of him?
Yeah, honey.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
Jen. Sure thing.
So they broke up. I couldn't find too much detail as to why. I'm pretty sure
she stabbed him.
Yeah.
It tracks.
Well, she became pregnant with a former coworker named John Chillingsworth. Sorry.
You know what? She might be crazy as shit, but she don't go without a man.
Okay, for not too long.
She don't go without a man. I mean, all right.
She gave birth to John Chillingworth's child in 1990.
Yeah.
They named the child Eric, who was the only boy.
Okay.
They were together for 3 years when their relationship ended. Because, she found another man. But she was, like, cheating on him.
Okay.
While they're I thought it was so ironic.
Yeah.
That she would give the other two men a hard time. Like, if you cheat on me, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
But she cheated on John Chillingworth.
Oh, honey, that's how cheaters roll. No, there's nothing no, cheaters, that's how they roll. The rule is you can't cheat on them.
Yeah.
They can cheat on you.
She was like, I'm going to cheat on you.
That's within the rules.
Well, she was cheating on him with the very lucky John Price. Another John.
Yeah, she really likes to,
I know, I was thinking like
keep
that.
the same
It was
names.
Like David, and John.
She likes them in doubles.
Well, the father of three, John Price, was well liked and respected in their small town.
At first, sure.
He worked in the mines for 17 years, and he made a lot of money.
Okay.
Like, doing in the mines. Honey.
Okay.
John, he knew of her reputation around the town. He knew that she was like violent.
And he married her anyway.
He was like, but this is something about you I like, honey.
So I can almost guess what it is about her. He really like.
So he was like, well, you can come in and move in with me and my children. Mm-hmm. He had 3 children. He was living with 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And oddly, like, the children loved Katherine. It was like, oh, we love her. Mm-hmm. I was like, never heard that. I was like, well, that's surprising. So Katherine demanded that the 2 get married, but John was like, I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure.
It's not definite yet.
And she was pissed.
I mean,
she was like, oh, okay, you're going to marry me? So she snatched out her camcorder, honey. And she went around camcording or videotaping. I forgot what they used to say back in the 90s. What is it? Filming. Like all the stuff that he like stole from like his job. She filmed it and she sent that video cassette to his boss. To his boss. And his boss was like, man, I have to fire you. Like, I like you. We all love you, but, we have to fire you.
It turns out you're a thief.
Yeah, I mean, it's only, the stuff that, like, it was expired stuff and stuff that was, like, out of date, stuff they replaced.
So he didn't really
It was the stuff
they were going to throw it away anyway.
That they already did. Yeah, stuff that they were, like, throwing out, but he was like, well...
whenever someone does something like that, I'm like, just to spite that bitch... I'm not going to fire you. But don't let it happen again. If it happens again, no questions asked. But I don't like that she's a rat.
Well, he got home after being fired. It's like, yeah, get out.
Oh.
Get out, Katherine. Bye.
Yeah.
Get out, honey. But they rekindled their relationship a few months later. But he was like, but, honey, you ain't moving back in with me.
Right.
You stay where you are,
Comfortable
honey.
distance.
We'll be together, but
comfortable
you
distance.
ain't going to be living with me.
Yeah.
And his friends are like, well, I mean, we adore you, but we can't be friends with you because you're with that crazy woman. Like,
yeah.
we can't.
Yeah. She's a risk. She's a risk.
Well, somehow Katherine managed to, like, wheeze her way back inside of his,
house?
In his house, honey. And in February of 2000.
This woman got 3 tits?
She's something, honey.
Jesus.
She weasel her way back in. In February 2000, he kicked her out again after she stabbed him in the chest. So, I thought that was, like, pretty, like, understandable. Okay. She stabbed him, so he kicked her out.
I mean, gee, who could have seen that coming?
And he went to the courts, and he was like, he got a restraining order.
Yeah.
He was like, honey, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's ex parte time,
and then
sweetie.
He, like, went to his, like, job, and was like, all right, y'all, if I don't come in tomorrow, Katherine done killed me.
Oh, so he found employment again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like...
Found another job.
Katherine killed me.
Yeah.
They was like, well, don't go home. And it was like, no, because I feel like she's going to get my kids.
Yeah.
So, Katherine, like, made, like, an arrangement to where his children spent the night at their friend's house. Right? Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, shit. So he was, like, hanging out with his friends. He's like, I don't know, honey. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So he went home. The house was empty.
Oh shit!
And he went to bed. Katherine arrived. She went to his house.
Of course she did.
She woke him up. They had sex.
And
then he fell back asleep, honey. And then he woke up to her stabbing him in the stomach. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With her butcher's knife. I don't know if that's true or not. I just want to throw it in there.
Just for color. Just for color. Yeah.
Well, he tried to escape, but he couldn't. He couldn't escape her. Yeah. And he died after being stabbed 37 times in the front and back. Some of the wounds extended to like his vital organs.
Yeah.
And she got him.
Yeah.
And then she withdrew with $1,000 from his bank accounts. Mm-hmm. And then she returned back to his place and she skinned him and then hugged his skin from the meat hooks. And it was said that like he was so skillfully like skinned that like only like a few pieces of him were missing, like from his toes and his stomach. Like Because, you know...
She was really good.
Yeah, she was boning. Or she worked as a boning person.
She's a boner. In more ways than one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm laughing after I'm about to, like... She then decapitated him. And then cooked parts of his body that she prepared with vegetables. And then she made plates and set the table. And she assigned each plate with one of John's children. So she's like, well, you're going to eat this and you're going to eat that. And I guess, like, she tried to eat them. She had, like, made her own plate. And she either didn't like it or she couldn't eat it because she, like, threw it outside. It was found outside. But whenever he didn't show up for work the following day, like, his boss sent the co-worker, like, go check on him. Because remember what he was saying, like, last night.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the co-worker went there. And then the co-worker and one of John's neighbors were, like, knocking on the door. And they couldn't wake him up. And then I saw the blood on the door. And I was like, oh, no, honey. Something done happened. So they called the police.
She didn't even have the wherewithal to clean the blood off the door?
Well, I mean, she hung his skin up in one of the lounge room.
Oh, so
and
getting away was not exactly priority number one, I guess.
Yeah. So the police knocked on the back door and they found his body and they found Katherine comatose after ODing on sleeping pills because, you know, obviously tried to kill herself.
Right.
And she pled not guilty. She was like, well, I don't remember any of that.
By way of insanity, maybe? Like, that's the...
No, she's like, I have no memory recollection of it.
Well, sweetie, that's not exactly how the law works.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be damned if I don't remember doing it. Guess that means you gotta let me go, huh?
Right? I don't remember.
I don't remember doing it, so...
But she was evaluated by psychiatrics, and it was like, well, honey, she's borderline personality disorder. She has that.
Does that get you off for crimes?
Well, at the trial, her lawyers asked, like, for her to be, like, excused, and they started talking about, like, all the gruesome details of his death.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, honey, she's staying. I guess then they started talking about, like, she's decapitated and was skinned, and, like, she started freaking out in the courtroom, honey. They had to sedate her. Yeah. She became the first...
Oh, wait a minute. She's freaking out.
She was going berserk, honey. I was like, oh, honey.
Oh, sweetie, well, you were there. We're doing a retelling of what you've already done.
You did it, sweetie.
Ma'am. So, spare me with that.
Well, she became the first woman in Australia history to be sentenced to life in prison.
Good on her.
Well.
Good on her.
Mm-hmm. She tried to get it
repealed?
Yeah, they was like, honey, no.
No.
She was like, it's so cruel to keep me in there like that. For life, I had children. They're like...
They're probably better off.
Yeah.
With you, like, far away.
Yeah.
Far, far away. Where you can... Obviously, men can't avoid your charms. So
you're something.
It's probably best to keep you in a place where you can't reproduce again.
Yeah.
So is she still locked up? Is she still in the pokey?
I think so. It was in 2000. Yeah, I think I can't remember.
Good. So she's still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive. Yeah, she's not getting out, honey. She's gonna stay there forever.
Good. Mm-hmm. Good. You know what? I don't think this one can be rehabilitated. I don't think
I don't think that she's...
Yeah.
I mean, her mother warned the guy.
Yeah. Like, well, but he, you know...
He was sticking
around. He got off the hook.
Forever. That's what all the guys... In their interview, was like, I mean, I feel like we dodged the bullet. They did not, like, word for word, but like, that's pretty much what they were saying. Thank
all
God.
of them dodged a bullet.
Thank God. We didn't.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, you know what, Death Dolls, we hope you enjoyed. And maybe learned a thing or two about, you know, listen, when you get that sixth sense that says, this person may kill me.
Yeah.
Take it seriously, you know?
Or if you like, you move in with someone, but you may want to keep your old apartment just in case.
You know, it might be, listen to that. You know, better safe than 6 feet under, right? So, you guys, if you were here for last week's installment, we asked you guys to go to our community tab here on YouTube, and if you have any near-death or survival stories or close calls, we ask that you guys provide those stories to us. So we want to encourage you guys to do that. At some point, we may read them aloud on the show.
If you want to give us permission to.
If you give us permission to. If you don't want to, like,
I was going to say, then again, if you're like, telling us about
Right,
it.
then you obviously like, want
But,
us to.
you know.
You know.
No, doesn't
Or
help to ask.
you can also drop them in our DMs on the Twitter if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
We might ask you if we could read it aloud on the show if you guys don't mind. And we will credit you however you want to be credited. You might even want to do the whole, like, you know, unacknowledged, what is it
Anonymous.
called? Anonymous, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that
You
too.
can make up your own little name that
Exactly.
you want.
Make up your own name. The only rule
Stacey
here.
Miller or something.
The only rule here in Fight Club is that there is no Fight Club. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's be true.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, please don't make up lies. Like, it would be great if you didn't do that, you know? Let's just keep it like true stories. So, anyway, you know what? We want to thank you guys for joining us here on this week's installment. And don't forget, life's a blush. And then you die.